Hello, welcome back to the next session, second session of one-day workshop on English for job aspirants. This session is very important for all the students who are going to appear for any kind of campus placement drive in coming years. Common errors in English. These are very important, sections in the aptitude test. So let us have look at all the points over here. So this is going to be very useful session for all of you. Now I want to tell you what I am going to conduct in this session number 2. Particularly I will try to tell about you English grammar and usages. It's not possible to cover all the usages, but I will try to tell you what are the different components of English grammar that can be studied, and with the help of those grammars you can crack the aptitude test, and whatever the questions are asked by the companies in aptitude test can be solved with the help of this English grammar usages. Second thing, there's one of the important type of questions, that is common errors in the use of English languages. When you use English language, wherever you speak, write English language, that time you commit certain mistakes, and while doing so, what happens is we commonly commit those mistakes. We don't even understand what is right and what is wrong. We take wrong as a right thing. So that is what the confusion we have. So how to avoid it? What are the different common error types that I am going to talk in this session, named common errors in the use of English language. Next point that I am going to cover in this is we will have certain exercises on English and common errors in the use of English. So I will cover some questions based on that. So those questions may be asked in different kind of examination. Next, that what I am going to talk now, the first part, English grammar and usages. So what kind of usages you have to study in English grammar? First, what are the basic components of grammar? Grammar is nothing but the structure of English language, sets of rule, what to do and what not to do. Wherever you use language should be accurate and perfect one. So what are the different ways through which you can understand the rules of usages? Number one, parts of speech. That's a traditional name, but that is modern name is word classes. Word classes, parts of speech of words or word classes. Once you understand all the word classes, like open word classes, closed word classes, they are also called functional words and structural words. When you understand the rules of the usages of these functional words or the parts of speech, you will be able to make use of grammar appropriately. As you know, parts of speech, there are 8 parts of speech: noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction and interjections. All these elements, how they should be used, what are the different usages of these 8 aspects. If you understand the minute details of this, you will be able to make use of right grammar. Then the next point is tenses. You know, tense, this is going to be very important chapter in your preparation of aptitude test. Without tenses, you cannot construct any grammatically correct sentence. You need to understand the context, tense and the verb forms, and which verb form is used while speaking. You should also understand different ways and the context in which the different forms of verb are used. So tenses is another part of grammar usage. Then the voice shifts the focus from active to passive and passive to active. It means that from sender, the attention is given in the sender, or let's say attention is given on the subject in active voice, and in passive voice, instead of subject, action is highlighted in the passive voice. Next, degree of comparison, degree of superlative degree, comparative degree and positive degree. It shows the action, how actions are shown, how actions are taking place, that is shown with the help of degree. So degree is also going to make you a difficulty in your preparation. Then the speech, direct and indirect speech. You have to understand all the rules of direct and indirect speech. What are the different rules regarding making direct into indirect, indirect into direct. It's the same case with the voice as well. There are certain rules of making active into passive and passive into active. Again, there are certain rules of making converting one degree into another, appositive to comparative, comparative to positive, superlative to positive. These are different ways of making the degree. Now the transformation of sentences. There's one more chapter that is studied in grammar, and it's used as a grammar and usage of grammar, that is transformation of sentences. How sentences are transformed from simple to compound, compound to complex. There are certain transformation, active to passive, passive to active, from one form to another form, one form to another form. Most of the time we get confused how to do that, negative, positive, but while making negative to positive, the meaning of a particular sentence should not be affected, should not be changed. That is what transformation of sentences. Okay, so next point is B, that is the second point of my session, that is common errors in the use of English. Now the first session, as I told you, there shall be 3 sections of second session of this workshop. The first session was about English grammar usages. Now the second session is about common errors in the use of English. As I already told you, common errors are those errors which we commonly commit, and while committing we don't even understand that is error. That is a part of habit that is commonly spoken by the people, masses of the people. They don't even consider is it right or wrong. That becomes the convention, and that is how it creates a problem in writing and speaking. So those common errors, as a student of language, you should try to avoid those common errors. So let us understand the first common errors and their types, because there are gonna be some questions based on common errors. 4 or 5 questions will be asked in any aptitude test, any verbal ability test or English language test for placement. So subject verb agreement is the first type of common error. Subject and verb. When sentence is formed, whether it is formed according to the grammar or not, whether the rules are followed of the grammars or not, and typically there are certain errors which are commonly committed while constructing the sentence. When we take the subject and verb, they don't agree with each other. There is always a disagreement between them, and we don't even think that there is a disagreement. We inappropriately use it. Let us understand with the help of example. An important part of my life have been people who stood by me. An important part of my life have been people who stood by me. Now look at this. Important part. An important part is the subject, and have is the verb of this subject. So this is not properly used. Have is not properly used. That is what has is correct here, because the sentence is properly, when you listen to the sentence, you come to know that this is correct sentence, but this is not correct so far as subject and verb agreement is considered. An important part is the subject, and this one is the verb. So subject and verb, they should mutually agree, and that's what they should be according to this one. So this sentence is correct. An important part of my life has been the people who stood by me. The people who stood by me. So this is what the type of common error based on subject verb agreement. Let us have the example of second type of common error, that is known, a second example of this common error, that is the two best things. What is the subject? Two best thing is the subject. About the party was. Now about the party was, about the party is just giving additional information of the subject to best things. About the party, though party is singular, but the party is not the subject here. Party is not the subject. What is the subject? Subject is two best things. So subject is here plural, and that is why it is something going to create problem while making use of verb. And that is what one person can commit mistake here. Two best things about party was. When we listen to it, we feel it's correct sentence, but it's not a correct sentence as per the subject verb agreement rules. So subject is plural, it should go with the plural verb as well. That's what two best things about the party were the food and the music. The food and the music. This is what the example of subject verb agreement. Now dear friends, let's understand the second type of common error that we basically use, that is sentence fragment errors. What is that? Sentence fragments error. Sentence fragments are incomplete sentences that don't have one independent clause. That is what we call sentence fragment. Let us handle with the help of example. He gave his mother an extravagant gift after the argument in spite of everything. Look at this sentence. This is subject he gave, verb his mother, object an extravagant gift is the object. After the argument, it's the adverbial part. Now what is wrong in this sentence? Up to this sentence it's okay, up to this point it's okay. In spite of everything is now separately given, it's divided with the help of comma. Look at this, that is the part of this sentence, that is not something apart from the subject. So that is what sentence fragment error. So you thought that in spite of everything is another sentence, and he gave his mother an extravagant gift after argument is another subject, and these two sentences are making meaning here, but it's not that these are not the two part of the sentences. These are the part of one single sentence. That's what they should be separated with the comma. In spite of everything, he gave his mother an extravagant gift after the argument. Did you understand sentence fragment errors? These are of, we think that some part of the sentence can be isolated, but that should not be isolated. That should be added to the sentence with the help of comma. So such kind of error can also be committed by the students. So try and understand, we ought not do this. Now the third type of common errors that we make is missing comma after introductory element. What is introductory element? Element or a phrase. Look at the example. In case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't appear in the article. In case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't appear in article. Look at the correct sentence. In case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't matter in article. Now you see here, in case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't appear. In case you haven't noticed. Now what is that introductory part? Introductory part is nothing but this one. In case you haven't noticed, this is what the introductory part, and that should be divided with the help of comma. Try and understand, the comma is necessary at this point of time. Here comma is missing, and that's what the sentence is common error, that falls under the category of common error. So this happens naturally with the people. They don't even think of this kind of. Now let us have the next type of error. That error is of missing the apostrophe with its. Missing the apostrophe with its. My dear friends, wherever you write something, wherever you make use of its, there are two ways of writing its, and you think both are the same. But my dear friends, this is something different. It's, and this is it, yes, is something different. Look at the example. Use an apostrophe with it's only when the word means it is or it has. Look at the example. I don't believe it's finally Friday. Now what is the context here of its? It is wrongly written because it is not showing apostrophe yes. When we write apostrophe yes and then say yes, then what it becomes? It becomes it is, but it here indicates something inanimate object or thing. Okay, the correct point is that I don't believe it's finally Friday. You can say it's or it is finally Friday. Okay, let us have another example here. The cat was liking its tail. The cat was liking its tail. Look at this, its tail. Here it's indicating something which is not at all expected here. It is tail is incorrect in this context. It is what? Its only. Did you understand? Apostrophe s with its or it is. It has or its. Okay. Next type of error that we are going to talk is no comma in compound sentence. You see, compound sentence are the sentence which are, combined together, two sentences combined together, two complete clauses, main clauses, when they are combined together with the help of coordinating conjunction like and, but, or, yet, and when they make a sense in one sentence, they are called compound sentence. Two independent clauses. Sometimes we call two independent clauses are placed together with the help of and but, or there can be many more coordinating conjunctions. That time we should make use of certain comma, no comma in compound sentences, but sometimes people make use of it. Let's say the man jumped into a black sedan and he drove away before being noticed. My dear friends, a comma separates two or more independent clauses when there is no separate conjunction in a compound sentence separated by a conjunction. Look at this example. The man jumped into a black sedan. Now the comma is put forth after this sedan. So he drove away. What is expected is when you read one part of a sentence which is complete in sense, and when you are talking about the another complete part, then you want to add it to the earlier part, you have to make use of comma here. What you have to use is comma. Okay, the next type of, so no comma in compound sentence. So when you don't use comma, that time it becomes incorrect. So make use of the comma as and when it is expected. So comma is expected in the compound sentences. Misplaced or dangling modifiers. Modifiers are the words which talk about something. They are also called adjectives. So they are misplaced. When you want to describe something, that time you use modifiers. So when you describe something, that should be attached, such modifiers or such words should modify the given words. Look at the example here. Misplaced modifier is a word or a phrase or a clause that is separated by importantly from the word it modifies or describes. Example number 1, look at this example. While walking on the sidewalk, Mary found a sparkly girl's bracelet. While walking on the sidewalk, Mary found a sparkly girl's bracelet. Now here the modifier sparkly is being used. Look at this, how it is corrected. While walking on the sidewalk, Mary found a girl's sparkly bracelet. Now the sparkly is not appropriately following the noun it modifies. The noun is girl, girl sparkly bracelet. Look at the bracelet is being described with the help of this adjective sparkly. Are you getting it? What is the adjective used here? Adjective for the bracelet is used, particularly sparkly bracelet. When we describe something, that time we use sparkly or etc. Right? So sparkly is the modifier which modifies, but here what is being used in the earlier sentence? Sparkly girls, because this modifier doesn't suit the animate name, noun. Girl is animate and bracelet is inanimate, so sparkly suits the best to the bracelet. That's what it is misplaced, and these are the errors due to the modifiers. Did you understand this? So let us move on to the next type of common errors, that is vague pronoun reference. When you have a reference, antecedent of a pronoun that is something vague, at that time that becomes a error. Look at the example given here. When Jonathan finally found his dog, he was so happy. Now see how funny the sentence is. When Jonathan finally found his dog, he was so happy. Now who's happy, the dog or Jonathan? We get confused. So this is what not appropriate. Jonathan was so happy when he finally found his dog. Now a pronoun can replace a noun. A pronoun can replace a noun. Are you getting it? And its antecedent should be the person, place or thing which the pronoun refers to. Okay, so such kind of vague pronouns can be used. When Jonathan finally found his dog, he was so happy. Jonathan was so happy when he found. Look at this. Which one should be used first? That should be understood here in the text. Wrong word usages. What are the wrong word usages? We don't use the proper words. Then that becomes error. Now look at this. There are a variety of words and phrases that are commonly confused and misused in sentences. Example can be cited here. She accepted his offer to drive her home. She expected. Look at this example, expected. Now accepted. What is the necessary is accepted. She accepted his offer. Now word is wrongly used. Instead of accepted, she should have been said accepted. Okay, that is what the wrong word usage is related. Next type of error is run-on sentences. Run-on sentences. A run-on sentence occurs when you connect two main clauses with no punctuation. Okay, look at this. She tried to sneak out of the house, her mother. She tried to sneak she tried to sneak out of the house. Her mother saw her leaving. Now it becomes quite difficult to read it out when there is no, run-on sentence, there is no comma as such, no clause is separately given here, no punctuation mark is given. It looks something dang, this is mixing on run-on. Look at this. She tried to sneak out of the house. This is one part and this is second part. Her mother saw her leaving. Now this should be properly written with the help of this. She tried to sneak out of her house, but her mother was leaving. Mother saw her leaving. Look at this, but is appropriate and that should be properly written as per the context of meaning. Okay, run-on sentences occurs when you connect two or main clauses with no punctuation. Okay, no punctuations are expected at that point, depending on the sentence and its meaning. Sometimes one sentence expresses the complete opposite meaning and the next sentence expresses the meaning which is opposite to the earlier one. Two clauses can be placed with the help of such sentences. So next type of error is sentence sprawl. A sentence can become a burden to read when there are too many equal weighted phrases. burden for reading too many equal phrases. Jason was playing to attend his friend's wedding on June 30, but at the last minute he found out he had jury duty, so he could not attend wedding and he felt really guilty about it. Look at this, how this becomes quite hectic for reading and all. So what is the correct version is, correct version, unexpectedly Johnson was. Now look at this, starter is used. Okay, these starters which show the coherence of the sentence, how the run-on sentence sprawl, sentences become quite burden when we read out. So accordingly you have to make use of certain phrases which can be used. Unexpectedly Jason was called for jury duty and couldn't attend his friend's June 30th wedding. So this is what the common errors related to the sprawl. Okay, sentence. So next, the last part of exercises on common errors in the use of English. Okay, let us have this last part of the session, common errors. Wrong. Look at the given sentence. I visited Niagara Falls last weekend. I visited Niagara Falls. Have visited Niagara Falls last weekend. Look at, my dear friends, these are some of the exercises. I'm going to tell what kind of questions are asked in aptitude test related to common errors. So did you understand what is the mistake in this sentence? Have visited indicates the present tense, present perfect tense, and last weekend indicates the action which has happened in the past. Okay, so this is what something not at all. So correct version is I visited Niagara Falls last weekend. So visited is the proper verb used for telling the context of a particular sentence. Let us have the next example. The woman which works here is from Japan. Look at the example given here. This is absolutely incorrect because the woman is modified with the help of adjective which, with the help of conjunction which. Woman cannot be which, W-H-I-C-H. So woman, who or whose. These are the two subordinating conjunctions which can be used to qualify the woman and its quality. So the correct version is the woman who works here is from Japan. In this context, who is appropriate. When the sentence is something else, whose can also be used to describe women. Okay, so that's it for this sentence. Next, let us have next type of exercise here. She's married with a dentist. She's married to a dentist. What is the error? This is related to the preposition. It is mother tongue influence. In Marathi we say तिचे लग्न त्याच्यासोबत झालेले. So with is basically used. Instead of with you can go with to. Okay, that is what English. She has married to a dentist. So that is what the correct version. Look at this example. Every students like the teacher. Every students. Try and understand what is written here. Students. So students and every, they don't go with one another. This every indicate the singularity of a noun. It comes before. But here students is plural. So every is not properly used. Every always takes singular noun before it. Every student instead of students. Look at the example. Every student likes the teacher. That's what it takes yes after it. Okay, so this is what the related to error related to the possessive pronoun. It's error related to the distributive pronoun every, each. These are distributive pronouns, and here pronoun is used distributive adjective. Okay, so this is what the common error and related to. My dear friends, this is not possible to cover all those exercises here, but due to time constraint I have to stop here. I hope you will think about whatever the session I conducted up till now. Whatever the points I told you, my dear friends, they are very important. You need to study grammar usages. Whatever the rules I told you, whatever the points I covered in the grammar usages, that you have to cover. Second, the common errors and the types of the errors. Accordingly, you follow whatever the examples I told, because I cannot cover all the questions in 40-45 minutes, because video lectures can't be of 2 hours and 3 hours, and that's what I cannot go ahead with the 40-45 minutes, because that is something monotonous for the listeners. So second type was of types of common errors that we may commit. So just for the time constraint I could cover only 10 types of common errors. There are other types of common errors. We can have a lot of discussion on that in next session or in our regular training programs. And the last part was that I covered was C part, that is exercises on common errors. I hope you will take the session properly and try to read out and try to find yourself time. You refer some online resources for that. You refer some good books. I will suggest some good books. R.S. Agrawal's book is there. That book name is English for Competitive Examination, Objective General English. Rajendra Pal and Premlata Suri's book is there, English Grammar and Composition, that is by S. Chand publication. If you want to prepare for English grammar usages, that is the best book. Those who are preparing for UPSC, MPSC and other examination, they can also refer this particular book. So for this I stop here, and I wish you all the best for the next session that I am going to talk about. The next session is about HR interview questions. How to prepare for HR interview, what are the different ways to talk about the HR interview, what are the types of HR interview question, what is observed for HR interview question, that I am going to cover in the next lecture. Thank you very much.